morning. This is your host, David Murphy, and along with my co-host, brother Sitawi Jahi. And we want to welcome to our Monday night podcast, which is sponsored by the National Black Unity News. The newspapers for us and by us. And it's the National Black Unity News is a vital format for such a time as this. Because information is truly power if you use it in the correct way. And in time, in times like this, ladies and gentlemen, you know, there's a lot of information floating around. And some of it's good, some of it's false, and quoting after your president, some of it's fake news, and some of them just people opinions. And but what we like to do on this broadcast, as well in the National Black Unity News, is keep it real. And the information that we share, not only in the publication, is by us and is for us. And with that being said, I want to introduce you to my co-host, Mr. Sitawi Jahi. You got it, sir.
All right, thank you, David. As we always open up each and every time we come on these airways with daily motivations for African American success, written by Mr. Dennis Kimbrough, and it's a great daily read for motivating you. He also wrote Think and Grow Rich, A Black Choice. He has several other books that he's written. But this one is one of my favorites, along with Think and Grow Rich, A Black Choice. March 23rd. Let me break it down for you. Quote, there is in this world so much force. There is in this world no such force as the force of a man determined to rise. The human soul cannot be permanently changed. W.B. Force, educated and scholar. Reading for the day. Have you ever driven your car with brakes on? I suppose that most of us who have driven it for any length of time have had that experience. I can remember times when I had arrived at my destination and reached down to apply the parking brake, only to find that it had been on the entire time I had been driving. Yet, without realizing it, I moved from point to point with my brakes partly set. The horsepower was there, but the car's vast potential was blocked, bottled up, and restricted. Traffic signals teach the same lesson. Signs and signals that regulate traffic are necessary for all the obvious reasons. But when you stop because of the red light on your mental dashboard, what are the real reasons that you hit the brakes? Have you ever asked, am I stopping for realistic reasons because I hope to avoid some impending danger, or am I stopping because I do not believe myself capable of reaching my objective? How do you view yourself? Are you driving with your mental brakes on? So, release your brakes and avoid all unnecessary stops. You'll reach your goals much sooner. Today I understand that the light is green and I'm ready to go. I release everything that is holding me back. That is our reading for the day from Mr. Dennis Kimbrough's book, Daily Motivations for African American Success. And kick off this dialogue today as we did last week, Monday. We did Coronavirus Part 1. Today we're doing Coronavirus Part 2. And this is a very, very interesting topic because it has everybody engaged in the process. There's people that are staying home. There's people that, go out at times to pick up some food items. Most people that I know usually have enough food stocked up. We have, a great amount of food stocked up. How much, I'm wife up, between all of how much we got over the airways because she, has fear of people listening to something and then targeting our house for a break-in. Because if this thing gets more and more serious, there's going to be people who don't have food that's going to be looking to bully themselves or take food from other people. So, be mindful of what you have and who you share, how much of what you have with in conversation-wise, and also in those that you seek to help out. So, just keep that in mind as we move forward, because this is just a sign of things to come. Where did the coronavirus originate from? Some say it originated in Wuhan, China. There was a person that wrote a book several years ago, back in the 1981, who wrote a book called The Eyes of Darkness. And in that book, he predicted that in 2020, we would have a virus that would come out of China that had the potential, like in the 1918 yellow fever virus that came out that killed in 1918. That particular virus killed 50 million people.
Wow.
So what's the outcome of this one going to be? I don't know. All I know is right now we're in the early stages of the beginning. I know that the governor announced some things today where unless you got to come out for essential reasons, that everything at 5 o'clock today started getting shut down. So this is not a drill. This is serious. We need to treat it serious, not underestimate it, not take it for granted. The life you save could be your own. Make sure you're following the things that they suggest as far as the social distancing, washing your hands for 20 seconds, using hand sanitizer, and whatever you do, as Mr. Wayne Randall was saying earlier, avoid, as best as you can, avoid taking trains, planes, and Greyhound buses. Go anywhere. I was scheduled to go to Rocky Mount to help some people down there with their taxes, because it is tax time. I told them, y'all have to find a way to get your stuff to me. I said, I can't come. I said, because, to take the train down, because I don't have a car. To take the train down and back, so that's too much public exposure. And then stay in a hotel while I'm down there. Again, that's too much public exposure. And so, y'all just have to step up your game. And you got to July to get your stuff to me, because they extended the tax filing to July 15th for those people that need to get their taxes done. They extended it from April 15th to July 15th. So they're going to be giving people plenty extra time. And, hey, just heed the call, do what you got to do. Most important, stay safe and protect yourself. So I'll turn it over to you, David, and then, we'll see if anybody else wants to dive in and add any.
Yes,
If you're looking for a reliable, professional, and affordable travel agent, well, you've come to the right place. We're proud to be the top local travel agency, and we've committed to creating satisfied customers and ensuring that your trip is a smooth one. Whether you need airfare, hotel reservations, transportation, or excursion planning, we can do it all. Call or email one of our friendly staff now to start planning your next vacation.
Quite sure a lot of people, because I know some of the people that's on the call with us as we speak, and we're going to open up the line very, very soon. But I just want to share a little bit of information, or just my concerns. Now, those who know me, I'm an old newspaper guy. I've been publishing for over 40-something years. And I heard, I always get rumors of this, rumors of wars, rumors about this or about that. And then there's obvious signs of this and obvious signs of that. Some people, man, scholars, from historic, what you call biblical quotes or religious artifacts and things like that, saying rumors of war, predicting the end times, and you got people who believe that this virus came from man, and some people believe in the New World Order, and then they got all types of things that just goes on and play. And so somebody like me, when you get information, I get it from all sources. I mean, it just bombards me, with all this kind of stuff. So you have to cycle through all of this kind of stuff. And but one thing I do, I'm always a student. And I listen to everybody, like I say, some things are far-fetched and then some things hit right home. But the end result, as far as I'm concerned, I have to make up my mind. Because I have one opinion, one thought, and I can receive quite a bit of information. But for those who will be listening to this, let me explain something to you about this podcast. Like I said, we like to keep it real, and that's where we're going to keep it. And this podcast is just what you call a pre-recording, because once we put the bells and whistles on it goes out tomorrow to the mass media. And with that being said, this virus is nothing like I ever seen before, because I never seen world countries and stuff just shut down. I never seen Baltimore City shut down the way it's being shut down. And I know one thing about history, one thing about society is this. When it comes to, yes, how you doing? When it comes to money, and when it comes to capitalism, that's the last front that, most people will line that they won't let you cross. But when you see something on this pandemic situation that we're in right now, I believe this is some serious, serious things taking place here. Because nowhere in the world, like you say, you see so much things being shut down, money, everything is being stopped. And so you have to pay attention to that, to the signs and wonders of things. But I'm an old believer, is this, what will be is going to be. Some things we can change and some things we cannot. But what you have to do, from my perspective, is take precautions. Prepare yourself for the known and the unknown. And you have to take heed, because, like Barber Sitawi just said, the life you save just might be your own. And, but, like I say, I'm an old newspaper man, and when you come to media, media is a powerful tool. Propaganda is a powerful tool. It's both the same. It's a derivative of media. And, all sorts of things are taking place, and everybody is in kind of like shock mode, because, like I say, this is kind of new for everybody. I'm an old head, and we never, dealt with anything like this before. I'm talking about the symptoms that I see that about governments shutting down the way they are. And so, but I don't know where this thing is originated from, but I do know it's affecting a lot of people. But I do know one thing based on our history. Well, now I'm talking about black people. Melanated people. Like the old saying is, we the last hard and the first hard. And when things like this come down the pipe, usually we the last ones going to get the help that's needed. But I'm also a believer in this. We have everything we need. We just need each other. We need to work with one another. And for such a time as this, ladies and gentlemen, while this world is being in chaos, while we got time to sit down and think, while we have time to contemplate what's going on, how we going to plan out our future, because a lot of people right now don't know what tomorrow is going to bring. They don't know how they're going to feed their family next week or 6 months from now. So you have to constantly sit down and think, and that's a good thing for one reason. Because it opens up your eyes, like I say, tomorrow's not promised to none of us. But we have to think about our generation and our future generations. And I'm gonna stop rambling on, because I'm going to open up this line. And anyone, I'm gonna start with you, Mr. Wayne Randall. Do you like to share anything before we open up the line to everybody else?
Well, thank you, David, and good evening, everybody on the line. I want to say, I want to expound on what you said about this thing, the seriousness of it and the magnitude of it, because as I said in that podcast, it's serious because it's taking precedence over money. I mean, we're seeing people with basketball teams, owners say, my team is not playing for the rest of the season. The Masters will be shut down next month. That's not going to happen. Now, we know with it being on that level, it's very serious. And if that doesn't shake anybody, it should shake you to your core to say, wait a minute. Now, I mean, money is not even taking precedence over life because people are willing to take a loss just to save their investment. If you or any of us own a basketball team or a baseball team, we have to tell them, listen, guys, you're not going to be training now. Everything is shut down. Go home until further notice. That already lets us know the seriousness of this. And they don't even have an antidote. Well, they're working on something now. But they weren't really behind that scientist when she said she needed the help a year or two ago for funding, and now the FDA is supposed to be, So, as David said, please be vigilant of your movements as you go out. And as Sitawi said, if you're going to share things or share food or resources with who you're sharing it with, don't tell everybody about what you do have. Because I do agree with what David and Sitawi said. There will probably come a time where those who don't have will be trying to take from those who have.
It's called survival. Yeah.
Yeah, what's going to happen? Yeah, I agree with that. So, just be very aware of your surroundings and, please be vigilant. And if you don't need to move around, don't move around. Just don't. So.
Okay, sir. Brother.
Thanks for watching our podcast. If you would like to participate in our future podcasts as a guest, or if you would like to promote your business or service, contact Wayne Randall at 443-726-6693. Also visit our website at www.yourfinanceinfo.com. This is a TNBUN production.
Dowridge, are you still on the line, sir?
I'm still on the line, my brother.
But you like to share, because I know you're a very knowledgeable gentleman. You like to share some information about what's going on.
I definitely would, and thank you very much for sending me the info so that I can join you powerful brothers this evening. And as you all know, we got a situation on our hands. That's all I'm going to say. We got a situation on our hands. I want to recognize, and forgive me, brother, if I forgot your name, Sitawi, I believe it was.
Sitawi Jahi, yeah.
Mr. Jahi. All right. I want to, first of all, when you came on with the reading of the day, I want to let you know that in my hand right now is Dennis Kimbrough's Think and Grow Rich, a Black Choice Daily Motivation.
Okay.
When I began my tutelage from Negative Street to Positive Avenue, believe it or not, this book played a big role in helping me become who I am today. So, right on to you, brother. In reference to what we're facing, no, I'm not there in Baltimore, but I will say that I was scheduled to be there on Thursday for 3 shows as Frederick Douglass. And because of, what we're facing and the shutdowns and what have you, everything was put on hold, and we're looking at later dates of my returning to Baltimore for the show. In the interim, I said earlier that I'm not in Baltimore. I am in Tampa. And our mayor here and city council had a in-depth meeting today, and via the news report that they decided against having everybody to stay at home at this time because they felt that they would have to do more investigating, et cetera, before they come up with a firm decision. Also, listening to the governor as well today during his news conference, he mentioned that there were really only 3 hot spots here in Florida. One, which you may suspect, is Miami. Miami is the biggest city here in here in Florida. So it is a big hot spot, followed by Tampa, number 2, and I forget what the third one was. However, of course, I must stress that this is Florida as opposed to Baltimore and or Maryland, and I've been following very closely. I agree with what the other gentlemen have said in reference to where we're headed, the road that we're heading down. And it's unfortunate, it's a dangerous, it's a critical, and it's going to add more to the crisis situation because of the fact that, as we all know, that, a cure has not been found. Thank God, I really don't think we're going to be in a situation as Italy. However, we have to be very careful in how we move about. We have to be very careful as well with our family members. We have to be very careful of being in close range of, other individuals so as to protect ourselves and to continue to somewhat have a healthy lifestyle moving forward. Thank God that here I don't suspect that we are in danger, if you will, of having individuals to, take it upon themselves to get, well, let's put it like this. Let me just back up and say, thank God that, and I pray to God that we don't come to that threshold where, we will have to run out, purchase guns to protect our refrigerators and protect our pantries, from perpetrators because of the economic situation that we are facing, crossing our doorstep, to muster death for food or toilet paper, which is the big item nowadays. I pray that everybody will get a hold of themselves and maintain the truth and the valor within themselves so that we don't have to, and that we won't, get to that situation where, it is death because of food. So, I'm just praying as we move forward, brothers, that, that we will remain, that our people will remain in sense of ourselves. And also, before I end, and I hope I'm not taking too much time.
Go ahead, bro. Go ahead.
I wrote a piece up on Facebook. Now, quite naturally, the tally of your news there, WJZ, and the other news channels there is quite different than the news that we gather here on Channel 13, Channel 8, et cetera, et cetera. Now, usually when I awaken in the morning to prepare to do, to leave, go conduct classes or whatever, I usually watch Channel 13 News. It bewilders me that in watching this news channel, or news hour, if you will, that, the lack of African Americans that are shown during the news hour. Now, please, I'm sure that there in Baltimore, when you have the Roman reporters, that they are not just focusing on whites and their reactions to this coronavirus, but of course they are, questioning blacks there in Baltimore and Maryland. Well, here, you might see one black person that they are questioning how they are doing and how they're coming along. What are their hardships here in Hillsborough County, which is Tampa? I am, twisted. I'll use that term. That we as blacks in this city of Tampa, Florida, are not getting equal stay. Now,
okay.
I will go back to, if this situation, and brothers, y'all might disagree with me, but it's all good. In this situation of coronavirus and what it is doing to our society right now, if it would have attacked mainly African Americans in this country, such as Katrina, I am under the belief that instead of them jumping on it as quick as they have, and even though they're still behind the 8 ball, it probably would have been 3, 4, 5, 6 months before they would have decided to do something. If it would have been, and it started out as a black thing.
That's right. If it started out in Africa or someplace, you know, and it just wait till they wiped everything out, and then they start talking about it, you know.
Then they start talking about it, you know.
Yep.
And believe it or not, I have visions such as you all do, because I was in Baltimore at the time when Katrina struck, of so many blacks at that time that were homeless, bodies floating down the man-made rivers, you know, just all kind of catastrophes going on, you know, and I can only see it happening. Thank God that it didn't happen, and it happened like it did. This, you know, coronavirus like it did, because I know that we would have been behind the 8 ball. But going back to, you know, the television news, in order for me to see black involved in or being questioned, I have to go to CNN.
Wow.
Or NBC, where I will see, you know, reporters on the spot questioning, or I will see representatives of our community sitting at the desk and having honest conversation about, you know, what's going on, how to prevent, how to prepare, what to do, you know. But when it comes here in Tampa, we are non-exempt. You will not see, at least I have not seen since the start of this, a mic in front of a black respective individual giving out, you know, pointers, guiding individuals or what have you, you know. So that's my only bad takeaway from this whole Tampa, Florida situation.
All right, brother. Okay.
But as I said, I just say that my heart goes out to everybody.
Can I get on?
Again, David, much respect.
Yeah. Okay, yeah. Wait, I'm going to let you on in the free. But there's another group that I see on here. Now, you know, just hold on for one moment, sir. You know, there, you know, from the President of the United States saying one thing out of his mouth, but then you got all the governors in this country saying something else. And then you see them, but they talk about we should do this and do that, but yet they're all in close proximity of each other, rubbing their noses, doing everything else, you know, and sending out mixed messages. And but there's a local group here in Baltimore, and I hope they're still on board with us. I see the Eugene People Party's on here. Are you still there? Are you still on the line with us?
Oh.
Eugene,
yes, here, brother. I'm actually on the line with you know, community leaders in like the poor and working class areas. Give me 1 second because I'm ready to conclude this call and I have a report to share. Hold on.
Okay, then I'll get back to you. Was this Dr. Pender? Was that you trying to speak?
Yes.
Go ahead, sir. You got it.
Listen, I also was on the line just today. I was on the conference line with our governor here in the state with 3,000 other clergy members, and they were talking about droplets being the major problem. In other words, when people sneeze, droplets, it gets on your hand. That's the biggest problem, droplets, people coughing without covering themselves. But also, I must go back to let's keep our eyes on the prize. We've been through tougher times than this as individuals. This thing was planned from day one. It's already written in the Bible that things like this will happen. So I must encourage our people as we look at our papers, as people look at our papers, trust in the Lord with all your heart. Lean not into your own understanding. In all your ways, acknowledge him and he will direct your path. It's not a problem. As long as we don't have fear of man. You see, this nation, when it was stolen from the Indians, they never did consider us as people. So therefore, when they put us on the back burners, they're going to always do that. Don't expect anything from the Anglo-Saxons because they believe only the strong survive. They're going to fix things for themselves. That's not a problem with that. But to calm the storm, what we have to do as a people is look forward, to be positive, and to stir people into our newspaper. Our newspaper will be comforting during these times. Because a lot of people are in homes, they can't get out. They need something positive because the news that they have on television and radio is going to be about pandemic. We got this is an opportunity for us to put something positive in our people's hands so they go forward and wait for the Lord to come. That's all I got to say. Thank you.
Yes, sir. You know, yeah, Brother Brandon. Okay, you got it. So I was just going to speak to you about, the government and how he's saying one thing, and then you got all these other governors saying something else, and they're sending out mixed messages. But introduce yourself, and if you want to share with us, go ahead, bring it on.
All right, so peace and blessings, everyone. My name is Brandon Walker. I'm an outreach coordinator with Ujima People's Progress Party, Baltimore native of 32 years, all my life, student at Coppin State University, love of the people and fighter in the struggle. So I do not wish to hold up your time too much, but I saw the email come to the email. I saw the email that came out to jump in, and I've always wanted to participate in the conferences. It's just unfortunate that the first time I've participated in it, or maybe the second time, is under these circumstances. But I will not waste your time. I'm just going to illustrate exactly what my eyes have seen, what my experience has endured, and what my heart is feeling, and where my mind is headed at this moment where we're sitting at. Right now, we are in a precarious position, and I use this "we" very strongly for poor and working class Black people in Baltimore City, where when you were speaking about the governor, Brother David Murphy, and everyone else for that matter, we understand, as far as a political party, that this governor that we're dealing with, Governor Hogan, he is the leader of the Governor Associations of America. So he is propositioning and propagating himself to be someone that runs for president in the future by taking, short jabs and long shots at the federal administration from where he is. And we understand that, yes, the responses he's given is appropriate due to the fact that he's in a position to make those calls as executive leader. But also, we have to be mindful as poor and working class Black folks, particularly Africans in this country, that anytime there's a time of crisis or when there's generalized language of social distancing and everything that's going on, we have the inclusion versus exclusion. The inclusion meaning when there's a general statement being made, the inclusion means everyone included except. The exclusion means everyone except. And we see it as, and what's happening for myself and those that I'm experiencing this problem with is that when we're talking about food getting to, public housing, to the sick, disabled, elderly, and shut-in, those who belong to religious organizations, institutions, community organizations, associations, areas where that are more than just crime-riddled or drug-riddled or riddled with, violence particularly, we know for sure that we don't have any allies. And I speak with the people, not for them. I am a part of the people, so I don't call myself a self-appointed leader, but I'm also marching in tune and in cadence with my brothers and sisters, mothers, aunts, uncles, nieces, nephews, grandmothers, and grandfathers. And the reason why I'm pretty much trying to illustrate this in the best way I can, because I'm appalled that food trucks from the Maryland Food Bank are being denied to public housing areas. And I'm just trying to find out upon whose order, who gives that kind of order during the times like this. And then on top of that, we have the staging of the National Guard, and we saying to ourselves, and I'm saying to myself with the people that like, what is a person or an army man with a gun in his hand going to do when a person got an empty stomach? Like the stores, it's empty in those areas. We already don't have enough markets to shop at. in the communities in the first place. They want to spread it out.
That's right.
So I'm just going to bring it to a close to be able to let people know, man, look, if there's any way we can help, anyone on this line can help, reach out to the Maryland Food Bank, and particularly we want to be able to hit those areas, those public housing areas, because the lack of leadership outside of the people representing themselves is always going to be people that look like us that's working on behalf of white power but don't really mean shit or do shit for people like us because they feel as though they represent our interests only when it's time for them to gain for somebody else in a job or professional career. And it's really sad because children, they're still single parents, they're still babies, they're still sick, elderly, disabled, and shut in that's going to experience this hardship at a time where, again, those markets are scarce anyway. There's not enough of them, and the shelves are empty. So what do people do when they cannot access these tools? And it's not because they're lazy or anything like that, like the image is being printed out. It's just as if there's a overtone being presented out that everything is okay, but on the ground is a totally different story. And if these National Guards position themselves in a hood where brothers and sisters at, aggression should be met because they coming into an area to make sure people stay in the house and practice social distancing, but people ain't got food, people ain't got nothing. You know, like they running on fumes. So what is a person with an angry stomach and a heart full of disappointment and a mind full of rage going to do?
He's going to survive. That's what he's going to do.
That's right.
They're going to lash out, Brandon. They're going to lash out.
That's right.
I'm saying, hey, brothers, how y'all feeling, brothers? How y'all?
Yes, who's this?
That's good. It's Brother Jay. Hey, Brother David.
Hey, Brother Jay, how you doing?
Jay, Youth Side Campaign. One thing I'd like to say, thank y'all for doing this line and having this talk. We need this. But like Public Enemy said the best, don't believe the hype. All this is propaganda for the New World Order. Nothing less than that. And what I want y'all to know is that what's really causing this effect on people is the 5G towers. It's giving you a false test for the coronavirus, which just brings out diseases inside you already. And what happens once you go in for a checkup on this, they inject you with things, according to Chip also. So my solution is this. The solution, go to the city farms we have right now for foods. They want to work with us. We got to have solutions. That's one of the solutions. Also, keep yourself clean, but also you're allowed still to go outside, but not in groups of 10s or more. So we got to be sort of radical also to know they can't control us. Because it's all about control, world domination, and population control. We can't let them dictate everything else that way. You know what I'm saying? So again, solutions, go to the city farms, get our foods, work this thing out, and don't give them all the information they want about how much money you're making, all these things, because they try to find things so they can take away your rights and find out everywhere you're making money. All right, everyone? Do those guidelines with God.
All right. Okay. Yeah, they say from the top down to the bottom up, there's a plan in place. And with these plans in place, they never include us, because in the prosperity of the thing. And unfortunately, I hate to say this, but this is my belief. When you look at this world, you say world order, and you look at the size of this earth and the technology that's taking place right now, there's as far as they are concerned, there's too many people on this earth that don't have usefulness as far as they are concerned. And so therefore, and this is nothing new, because, it was about 30 years ago, they had what they call one of the world summits. They had two agendas: overpopulation and the economic thing they had going on. And so they choose to work on the overpopulation, and that's when all of these birth controls and all of these other things, and guess what areas they targeted? It was us, because we're the only one really producing. And so they're doing everything within their power to keep us at bay, so to speak. And even though all of their efforts have failed because we still produce, and here they having a problem producing themselves. But let me just say this to all of you on the call. I appreciate each and every one of you for your input. And but I believe this, and I always believe this, that we are resilient people. there is a concerted effort to keep us at a certain point. But you know what? There's a unique thing that's taking place. See, power is old saying, power only concedes the power. And right now, there's a power structure going right not only in this country. If you read between the lines with the Trump and his cronies and a whole lot of other people in their cronies, I'm talking about multi-billionaires against multi-billionaires right here in this country is taking place right now. Then you got this world order thing going on. Well, all of this stuff is taking place right now. This is the perfect time for us, for we, to come together and put aside some of them differences that we may have, our little ideologies and things like this, but for the good of the people. Because like my brother said in Florida, Donald, you know, we own less than 1% of the media, less than 1%. So we don't really have a voice. And so people like us, like me, who doing the National Black Unity News, that's why we need your support. Because what we do, we take a collective voices and bring them together and put them in a publication so we have different outlooks. We try to bring solutions to what's taking place in this country. And I'm extending each and every one of you on this call. If you're not participating, please do. We're not hard to get along with because you do have solutions. I listen to Brother Donald. I listen to Brother Walker. I listen to Brother Jay. And all of y'all some powerful brothers, so I know you personally. And all of y'all are putting in work, have been putting in work, and I believe you will continue to do so. But it's extremely difficult for us, much as power as we have, if we can come together and bring these forces together and put aside these differences sometimes and work together. It's a powerful, powerful thing that we can do in this country. And we're all aware of that. But for some reason, like I said, there's a concerted effort to keep us from doing that. They don't want us to come together. But regardless of that, we all we need and we all we got. Ain't nobody coming to save us. Nobody coming to save us but us. And like I say, you know, and I believe we are the original people. God made us first and everything else you see is our offspring. We are the original. All you see is diluted versions of us. And so I'm just saying this to each and every one of you. Before we start closing out, I want y'all to do one thing. I'm going to give each one of you an opportunity to share, because some of you already came up with some of this, but I want you to say, from your perspective, can you provide a solution to our listeners to some things that they should or should not do, or some things that, you know, some resources that may can help them? I'm going to start with you, Brother Sitawi.
Yes, sir. One of the things I would say is get to know your neighbors. You know, this is so important that you get to know your neighbors. I'm a Hurricane Katrina survivor, and I remember the night before we left the city of New Orleans to get out, and we took a taxi cab out to get to Baton Rouge because they had a special needs shelter in Baton Rouge. We know we wasn't going to the Superdome, and y'all saw what happened to that whole Superdome fiasco. But, you know, we were told by people in the area, don't go to the dome. Don't go to the dome. It's going to be a nightmare. And the mayor had came out and told people that, you know, that don't think y'all going to have a Superdome party like y'all used to do, because that was what used to happen in New Orleans. When a storm would come through and they would open up the Superdome. People would go there and they'd have a party. You know, the dome. I talked to some of the people that survived the Superdome experience. You know, and they said that it must have been what it was like for our people that when they was in the bottom of the slave ship. So get to know your neighbor. You know, reach out to your neighbor, because, you know, I don't know what beef y'all might have had or what, you know, issues you might have had with your neighbors or whatever, but you do not want to be an island in your neighborhood. So, you know, and if there's any seniors in your neighborhood, make sure you look out for them, because everybody is vulnerable. At 68, I know that I'm vulnerable. So, you know, it's so important that we do that and support this newspaper, this publication. Support this publication. If no more than getting an $18.50 subscription, you know, that'll help.
That's right.
You know, I know some other things they would like you to be able to do too, but that's the bare bone minimum cost, because we need to create a force in this country that when we make a move, when we put out a call, it reminds me when Minister Farrakhan put out the call for 1 million people to show up for the Million-Man March and ended up with 2 million. And so, but the thing again is it's about our unity, and unity starts with getting to know your neighbor.
Yeah, I hear you, Brother Sitawi. Like I say, you and me, you're the same age. And when I came up, we knew not only did we know everybody on the block, everybody on the block knew us. So if you can go blocks and blocks away, people knew you. Everybody knew everybody back then. But because of technology and all this communication things have just changed, and fears and all this other kind of stuff. But, brother, I'm gonna reach out to you, brother. Wayne Randall, I'm gonna let you share. What solution would you come up with, sir?
I like to second what Sitawi said. I agree. If anybody's listening, whoever's on the airwaves, yes, please support this paper because that's what this paper's about, solutions. That's why we're here, brainstorming. And I do agree with what he said, and I talked about it earlier. I have neighbors that needed things, needed resources, but too, pick up the phone and check on people. You have to do that. Right now, a lot of people are teleworking. They're not going out. They're working from home. Check on these people and find out what's going on. But please, take time, look at this publication. It's a good publication. It's for us and it's by us. Just as David said, nobody's coming to save us. Nobody's coming to do that. That's why we're here. That's why I'm here myself, and I'm glad to be a part of it.
All right, thank you, sir. Brother Donald, are you still with us, sir?
I'm still with you, my brother.
Yeah, but do you have any solution or suggestions that we can feast upon, sir?
Well, what I like to add, first of all, thank all you brothers, man, and Brother David, just acknowledging you, my brother, and the constant work that you're putting in over the years, most definitely. It's rewarding and it's gratifying that you're still in the fight, my brothers. What I would say is that each one, we must reach one. We must continue to draw our wagons, if I can use that term, draw our wagons a little closer as we go through this. As David said earlier, it got to be about us because they are not on our street. They could care less whether or not we survive this. So it is definitely up to us as black folks in this society going through this crisis that we unite, we reach out to each other, we speak to each other, and like my brother said, whatever issues we have, we should be man, woman enough to put that behind and look at what is greater, what is more important to help us get through this. So in ending, as I come to the end, of course, pray, be proactive, and let us look out for each other, and of course, support David Murphy. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. When you support me, you supporting us. I'm just keep that straight, and Dr. Pender, are you still with us, sir?
Yes, I am. I'm here.
Yes, sir. Do you have any solutions that we should take or suggestions, sir?
Well, we should stay the path. We set out with a goal to saturate the entire United States and the world with that paper because it's so positive in a negative situation, and we could calm a lot of people's fears and anxiety by putting our positive messages out. It never have escaped me that saturation is very, very easy if we focus. And what happens during times like this, if we refocus off of this problem and focus on the solutions, we'll get a whole lot done. I think we can. I know we can do it. We got a bunch of soldiers, who are on the battlefield. We have our people in the backs of our mind, in the fronts of our mind, and we're saturated with their, I'm going to say a big word here, the Ruach HaKodesh. That means the Holy Ghost. So therefore, nothing can stop us. We're unstoppable. We must go forward with positive messages to encourage people, because in the end, it'll be well worth it.
All right, thank you, sir. Brother Brandon Walker, you still with me, sir?
Yeah, I'm still here.
Yes, sir. You guys even close this? Yes, I can hear you, sir.
All right.
Any suggestions or solutions, sir?
I'd say overall right now, as a start, as far as with people, with the good suggestions that was offered by the brother, as far as getting information, for getting to know your neighbor, I think being able to complement that information with a person's name, age, and the area that they at, and compile that information with the issues, it's a good suggestion. That's a good suggestion. A solution that can be put in place that is very practical for that matter is before or after you get that information from people of getting to know their neighbor. This is just me complimenting the information that's given. Being able to put something directly in the hands, or if not email-wise, to the representative, and having a copy of it saying we reached out to the mayor, reached out to the councilman, reached out to the Office of Emergency Preparedness to say, hey, this is what people need. And that's one solution. Another one, too, as well, is if possible, there is religious leaders, for that matter, that is sincere towards that grassroots initiative and collective of reaching out to the people and getting to know thy neighbor and working with thy neighbor in times of need and going forward. Being able to have a sincere ask on general that how can we put something forward where we have an action network to collect resources by district, by zone, by neighborhood, by area, to say, okay, come here, come here, come here. And it's not a thing of reinventing the wheel. It's just that in between the hours where certain schools who are already distributing breakfast, lunch, and dinner, there are neighborhoods where schools are at that they do not do those practices at. Find those churches to be able to fill in those gaps, because the arrogance of what we're facing is that, okay, someone's already doing it, never mind. No, we fill in the gaps to help lighten the load, but also complement the efforts.
All right, thank you, sir. Brother Jay, are you still on the line?
I'm still here, my brother.
Yes, sir. You would like to share some information in closing.
Okay, of course, the paper is always a good vital for us. I've supported it and always have. It's time to do more. On this emergency we have in here, the first thing we must do is take care of the unit. Unit meaning yourself. Keep yourself healthy, for one. Work out, exercise. That way you get your spiritual mind power. And once you get that, you got to have a relationship with God. Everybody must get their God power up, for the ancestors to come through and guide us through this. Also, the next step, again, I say, go to these food farms, the city farms we have. We have a lot of them all around town. We got to get those in place and get packages from them. And if you're not employed or don't have source of income, I know Amazon, they're hiring for one. That's a big thing. And again, do not tell these government officials all your business or how you get your money. Again, this is about getting your information, New World Order, and controlling you. Don't let them control you. All right? On a bigger scale, as far as the whole universe, I always suggest a United Black Crisis Fund, where everybody put the money in the pot. We look it over. We pick a spot to get our land. We build that. We get houses. We build that. We make our own banks. You know what I'm saying? And that's our solution. We can put that ad in the paper for that. We need our own flag. You know what I'm saying? Our own land. And that's the big fix for all of this. Without land, you don't have any power. You know what I'm saying? And this thing is for everybody, but it's not for everybody. You know what I'm saying? Because everybody's not going to be with it, but you need those that's with that's going to make a difference. That's what I got.
That's right. All right, thank you, sir.
All right.
Mr. Vernon Streater, are you online? You want to share some information? Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, I agree with everybody that's on here. Just let us keep our eyes open and remember, a house divided against itself can't stand.
That's right. All right, thank you. Well, gentlemen, I want to thank each and every one of you for your participation in this podcast. You see, words are powerful and don't come back void. we're going to send this information out to the masses and let the chips fall where they may. But for me and my house, we're going to continue to serve God. And for me and my house, we're going to continue to serve my people. My people, what I'm talking, you know what I'm talking about. Because it's a mandate that if we don't take care of ourselves, how are we going to take care of anybody else? We have to take care of each and every one. I'm just going to share some information with people in closing. As I always tell people on these airways is this: we own less than 1% of the media, which is almost no voice at all, but yet we still have a voice. But we must support that voice, not just the National Black Unity News podcast, our own black radio show, our black newspapers. We need to support them. And I'm going to tell you something else that we need to understand, that people come from all over the world, set up shops in our communities, what they call the ghettos, the slums, and make a fortune. They see the wealth that we have. See, people know, they say you never hit a lane to the game, because they may just come up and do the same thing to you. See, people know if we just start spending, this whole world will come to its knees. If we just start doing certain things, we have power. We just have not used it properly. And like I say, when we support our businesses, we support ourselves. We support our own future. And so we need to, like I said, it's common sense, but like I say, it's a major task. Because we have been taught from slavery not to trust one another, not to love one another, not to do for one another. But for those people on this call that I do know who are true soldiers, and I know each and everybody on here has the battle scars to prove it. And again, I'm truly appreciative for all of your input. Because, see, this is what it's going to take, ladies and gentlemen, is this. For like-minded people to come together for the sole purpose of uplifting our people. And if we do this, we will have a better tomorrow, not only for ourselves, but for our future generations. And it can be done. It must be done. And so it is written, so it is done, and I'm out. And I want to thank each and every one of you again for your participation. And tomorrow I will send each and every one of you a copy of the complete podcast with all the bells and whistles attached to it and the editing along with it. Thank you, gentlemen. With that being said, I'll bid you all a good night.
Thank you all. Thank you, David.
God bless everybody online.
Hello, everyone. I'm Henri from the Henri Hector Show. I have a question for you. Are you searching for information? The kind of information that is powerful enough that is able to challenge you and make a change to enhance the quality of your life and the lives of others. Then I challenge you to listen to our podcast that is created to meet our people's needs. Come tune in to the National Black Unity News Podcast, where I'm your co-host, Henri Hector, sharing the very best alongside with our host and publisher of the National Black Unity News, Mr. David Murphy and Sitawi Jahi, every Monday at 7:30 p.m. For more information, please visit my website at www.henrihector.com or call 410-200-9347.